The day started off at about 12:30 a.m. when I arrived at the venue, and I pretty much just strolled around for the first few minutes or so, just feeling the general vibe, you know. And they had free drinks and snacks, which was pretty sick. But without delay, I dove right into setting up the cameras. We had a total of 4 cameras we were planning to use for the show. 2 of them were going to be mounted on stage, and 1 a little farther back, and the 4th one I'd be filming handheld. And given the relatively small stage, we went for a 17mm lens for this camera right here, and if I remember correctly, a 16mm for the camera right here. The goal was pretty much just capture the artist, of course, but also capture the audience and just the entire energy of the set, if you may. Kind of similar to one of these videos. And for the 3rd camera, we would have it way back here, and I think it was a 70mm. And once everything was in place, we took a quick lunch and just chilled for a while. But after, we started checking all the sound equipment and the lighting equipment. And the venue was actually run by a tech school, so the equipment they had there was pretty good to begin with. And when they started letting out the CO2 gas, it was almost like stepping into another dimension. I mean, just look at this. And initially, I had concerns when they mentioned they were going to have lasers at the show. As some of you may know, if a laser hits your lens, it's pretty much game over for that entire camera. But the lasers were mainly going to be aimed upwards, so we were in the clear. It's also worth mentioning that Sony cameras, which were the cameras we were using, have a recording limit of 30 minutes of constant shooting. And since the show was going to be around 1 hour, this posed a small problem. Luckily, for the cameras on stage, we were able to control them using an app. But this other one, way back, which I mentioned earlier, I had to start and restart halfway into the show in addition to filming handheld. But moving on, everything was set up and I just relaxed for a bit while Ark North was getting into his zone. And a few hours later, people were starting to drop in and the show was about to begin. And honestly, the show went pretty well. The audience seemed pretty happy and we had no major technical difficulties. And the footage we got, it was decent. One of the cameras on stage randomly stopped working for some reason, and I forgot to turn off autofocus for the 70mm camera. So when the strobe lights kicked in, it went pretty crazy. But considering this was our first show, I was happy with only getting decent footage, because at least we learned something, you know?